This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
Oh, it's going down right now. It's happening in Columbus. Got a big rally up there. Pro-union people are up there saying, how dare you try to actually make sense out of what's going on in the country? How dare you actually want public workers to be held to the same standards as private workers? And, of course, you got the caravan of people going up there that are for common sense that say, why? Why do public workers need collective bargaining? You know, still, even though I've talked about it several times in the last couple weeks, not one phone call, not one email can explain why that is good for the public. Why collective bargaining by public workers is good for the public. Not one. And it's not that I haven't gotten emails. In the last couple of weeks, I am probably into the thousands of emails, and I am not exaggerating. I get hundreds a day. Not one. Oh, plenty of people blasting me, and I write back, and I tell me why it's needed. Still, nobody can tell me why it's good for the public. It's not good for the public. It's good for those people in the unions. Now, I'm all in favor of them getting paid a good wage. Just want it to be based on merit and not on the good or value of everybody. In fact, if I was one of those public workers, I'd be pretty ticked that I'm being held to somebody else's standard. I'll make my own way. I'll do a great job. And I expect to be compensated as such. Chris Littleton joins me now. He's the founder of Ohio Liberty Council. Are you in Columbus?
I am. I am standing in front of hundreds of people from around the state who drove here to support the collective bargaining reform.
That's it's got to be nice for you guys to you get the day off, you hang out in Columbus, and then somebody pays for your room for the night, and you just hang out there. That's got to be pretty cool for you guys.
I think you may have the wrong person on the line.
Oh, that's SEIU. Oh, I'm sorry. It's some of the unions that are paying for the rooms. I see. For their people, I see. So you're actually just the average person up there kind of fighting for what's right?
As are every single one of these people that are walking by me right now, as I speak, by the hundreds. So, yeah, this is just, I guess it's a common sense for us. It's a very common sense argument. It's something that doesn't work. You can see this happen with auto unions for years, that unions sort of held them hostage, broke them down, drove the jobs out of the country, killed the companies to the point of bankruptcy. And that's in the for-profit world. The exact same thing is occurring in the public sector. It's just in this case, they believe that there's an unlimited credit card called taxpayers, and that's just not the case.
Well, there always has been. So, yeah, they've always had that. It's always been perceived that way, and it's always worked because we've had such a big economy, but we continue to slip. So here's what's going on. Help me understand this. You've got Senator Shannon Jones and Chris Jordan who put this bill out there to end collective bargaining for public employee unions, and the governor, it looks like he supports it, right?
That's correct.
All right. So what is going on today? Just the hearing on the bill, and people will be testifying?
There are multiple hearings. So there's one Tuesday, there's one Thursday, and they'll probably even continue for the next couple of weeks. But yes, there are hearings, and so both sides, those of us who do not want to see collective bargaining continue in the same manner, are here, and then also unions. And ironically, even private unions who have really nothing to do with the public sector are definitely in support, because everyone understands there's a principle at stake here. And that is, if you put a stake in the heart of this problem that is just looming so large, it's a multi-billion-dollar problem around the United States. If you put a stake in the heart of this problem, it's a very slippery slope in an unfavorable direction for them that maybe Ohio becomes a right-to-work state at some point. Maybe that union money is pulled out of politics. Maybe that influence and that special, very protected class is gone. And that is worth fighting for. So there are very passionate people on both sides of this issue. We feel we're calling ourselves taxpayer defenders today because that's what we feel that we are.
Talking with Chris Littleton, founder of the Ohio Liberty Council. So will people be testifying today for the Senate, or are you just there voicing your opinion outside, being visible?
Yes, there are approximately 50 people signed up for both opponent and proponent testimonies. That also occurred on Tuesday. And then, like I said, the next couple of weeks there will be additional hearings where people will be testifying on respective to both sides.
Okay, what time do the hearings start today?
Hearings start today at 10 a.m.
Okay, so a little under an hour. And do we have any idea how long those will go? I mean, are we talking 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that?
We don't know. I assume they'll cut it off at some point because 50 people testifying is quite a long day. And given that there are scheduled hearings to continue, I imagine that there's overflow. But right now it's scheduled at 10 a.m. with 50 people.
Okay, but there still is time for people, depending on how close they are to Columbus, to get up there and show their support one way or the other.
Absolutely, and there's a ton of people. Excuse me, if you're in the area, this is going to go on for hours. So there's absolutely a ton of people that could still make it without any problem at all.
Now, if they get near the State House, are they going to see you, or is there a specific place they should look for you?
Right this very second, I am watching the speakers off the sidewalk of the West Lawn with the hundreds that are supportive of us, and then we're about to head into the State House because some of the people who are testifying today are actually out here, so we're going to need to help them get in as soon as possible.
You know, it's sad, Chris, that as I have spoken about this all week, that people that are, and this is the whole point, this is one of my frustrations when it comes to unions. People say, you just hate unions. No, what I hate is the attitude where people will blindly follow unions. They will pay their union dues, and then those union dues are almost exclusively used when they funnel them to political campaigns on progressive candidates that just support all of these crazy, unsustainable ideas. And even if they don't like that and they say, well, you know what, I still vote the way I want, they still know what's going on with their union, and they don't confront that union leadership. They don't do it. So their union dues indirectly are going to funnel and support progressive candidates, even if they don't support it. What kind of freedom is that?
You're absolutely correct, and let's just look at the math. Let's look at states that are very strong union states and those that are basically right-to-work states or don't have public employee unions that can control collective bargaining like this. They're the most prosperous. They're growing. They have the most number of companies coming in. They're losing the fewest amount of jobs, and their companies aren't going overseas. So we can go down any line of reason that we like, and it almost doesn't matter. The math and reality play out on this. The system that drives entitlement, I call it entitlement by extortion, but basically it's a big bully of thousands of people saying, we're all going to do this together or else. And that's effectively what collective bargaining means. That system is holding both private companies and the state hostage and municipalities hostage to do things that are completely inconceivable. The numbers, the private sector wages that are 26% than the average public sector employee. That's a problem. It's not in line with the economy. This isn't even a matter of fairness. It's a matter of common sense. When you use unions and collective bargaining to accomplish goals, basically you have removed the free market of labor from the equation in its entirety. It's gone. It's disappeared. So you're not even meeting market standards, which is why they're outpacing the market and outgrowing the economy in Ohio. And every bit of it is driven by bullying. It's driven by collective bargaining, and that's effectively what collective bargaining is. It's bullying.
The sad thing is everyone wants to make this like it's the Industrial Revolution where there's all of these workplace violations, every workplace is dangerous, all of this stuff. It is not that. And I'm not arguing whether or not it was needed during the Industrial Revolution. But here today, look at the laws we have. Look at the avenues and resources people have in case their workplace is unsafe. It's not needed. Now it has become about the unions and not about safety or anything else. The union thuggery continues when they try to badger or bully people like me when I simply say the truth. When I speak out with the truth and say, listen, I support those individual people, firefighters, teachers, and cops. I want them to make as much money as possible. Some of them have dangerous and important jobs, absolutely. But I want it based on their merit and not on the guy who's not doing the job. And they should support it. They know the truth in their hearts. They're just not willing to admit it because they've been brainwashed by the unions. Can't say anything against them.
Oh, that's 100% true. I think, there's going to be someone testifying today, and I know he talked to me ahead of time, and he said that one of the things I'm focusing on is just how horrible this is for the average public employee worker, because you're stuck into a system that regardless of how good of an employee you are, how good you are at your job, how many wonderful ideas that you have, the chances of you being looked over based on the lack of seniority are incredibly high, which creates an inefficient form of government. It creates an inefficient form of public service employees. And everyone acknowledges that that's a bad thing. So the culture has just been perpetuated for really, it's multi-generational at this point. But I mean, I don't even know that it's brainwashing. Maybe you've never even thought of it another way. You walk in, this is your job, it's just the way things work.
That's how it is.
It's not the way things are supposed to work. It's not what drives the free market. It's not what this country was founded on. The country was founded on individual liberty, individual freedom. By nature, we are completely anti-collectivist. We don't believe that you should do that. We just want to be embraced on merit. And that's it. And that's the American dream, is just don't look at me for who I am, what I look like, where I'm from, or my background. Judge me on what I can do, what I can accomplish. And that's it. I mean, that's what we're fighting for. I think that's good for every single employee and every single citizen, that we be judged based on merit, not on seniority, not on past, not on tradition, but based on merit and achievement. And that's all that we're fighting for. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Chris, you bring up a good point. In fact, when I had Mark Sanders on from, he's the state rep for the firefighters union, he basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but had that attitude that, well, this is just how it is, Doc. I mean, he couldn't give me a specific. It's how it is, All right, yeah, Chris Littleton.
Not made anything right. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Chris Littleton, co-founder of the Ohio Liberty Council in Columbus today. All right, keep me posted and let me know if anything happens that's significant, all right?
Will do.
Thank you very much, sir. For those of you that want to pretend that public workers simply do not make as much as the private sector, and I've said before, there is no reason for you to make more than the private sector. We should be encouraging people to work in the private sector. I want you to make what you can get. I want it based on your merits. But when it's all said and done, the private sector should make more. That is not the case, certainly with federal employees, and also not in the state of Ohio. According to the Buckeye Institute, the median state worker in Ohio makes 24.6% more than their private sector counterparts. The median state worker in Ohio makes 24.6% more than their private sector counterparts. That is when you factor in total compensation. 62,800 government jobs have been grown, created, increased in the last 20 years, while private sector has suffered severely, as you know. Look around. Look at what's going on in the private sector. In Ohio, or in total, 62,800 government jobs have been netted since 1990. Private sector employee makes on average $39,200 a year. State and local government employees, $42,000. Federal employees, $53,000. Average teacher salary, $62,000. This is across the country. Private sector employee, $39,200. State and local government employees, $42,000. A few thousand more. Federal government employees, $53,000. The average teacher salary, $62,000. A sample average wage in Butler County, including local school districts. Private sector, $39,000. State and local government, $42,000. There's the numbers. What this really comes down to is greed. No, we all have it. You want to make as much in your job as you can. You want to get the best scenario and make as much. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with saying you want as much as possible. Take care of your family, have nice things. But let's be honest about it. That's all I want. I want you to be honest about it if you're a public worker. You're out there trying to get the most for you. And the insulting part is when you come at it like it's about safety or the children or one of these other things. Just be honest about it, okay? It's Doc Thompson, 700 WL. Your Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast for meteorologist Frank Marzullo. Sun and cloud mix this afternoon, really warm. Could reach a record high. It was set back in 1911. We could break that over 70 today. They're expecting a high right around there. Tonight, we've got some rain showers moving in by dawn. You could see some rain overnight, low around 54. It's 50 right now at 700 WLW. Senate Bill 5 is a good thing. Senate Bill 5 should be supported. End the collective bargaining. I don't understand why the union members want to support something that for years has allowed bad employees or people not doing their job to be protected. That's what it's about. You should be saying, you know what? I believe in my profession, and I stand on my job, and I know that competition is a good thing. Dave in Dayton, you're on 700 WLW.
How are you this morning?
Doing fine, sir.
Good. What I want to I think that you've got some misinformation here, and I'd like to try to help you out a little bit with that.
I'm sorry, you want to help me out with what?
I'll help you out with some information.
right.
You stated that collective bargaining protects bad employees.
Mm-hmm.
Every collective bargaining agreement has language in it that's signed off by both parties that allows management to get rid of ineffective employees and bad employees. If that was the case, we'd have perverted teachers working, perverted bus drivers. I mean, my contract does. And then we get to the issue where you're ignoring the fact that a lot of...
Dave.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Dave, come on. This is something we all know in our hearts what's going on. We all know the stories. How many times have they tried to fire Cincinnati police officers for things that I think should have been fireable offenses? And then, well, no, we can't because the union steps in. How many times? It has to be so egregious. It has to be so obvious, like a Stacy Schuler case, if she's convicted of it or proven to be true, in order for something to happen. In the private sector, people would have been fired for a lot less. The union steps in and protects those people. You know it, and I know it. So don't give me the language thing. You know it.
Well, there is language, and I'll give you another.
No, Dave, you know that those cases have happened, don't you?
I know that there have been some bad employees that were retained, and
yes, and that wasn't because of unions.
It was because of civil service members that made the decision that they wanted to keep these people.
It's part of their union bargaining, Dave. Dave, you know it. Come on. You're really going to do this? Everybody listening, we all know those stories, Dave. Why do we pretend?
I guess the way that we do this is we make it against the law for public employers to contribute to our pensions and those kind of things. I mean, even in the private sector, people contribute to pension. I mean, there are a lot of bad things in the bill. I think even the most ardent supporter would agree that the bill, as it's currently working, is not good. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm listening.
I mean, would you agree? I mean, that would be like them telling you at WLW that WLW couldn't contribute to your pension. Is that good?
You know what? It's for all of us to decide. We are all the employer.
I agree.
We are all the employer.
Missing the point that I'm a member of the public, too. I'm a public employee, and I'm a member of the public, too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I vote, and I have rights as well.
Yes, you have a right to be held to your own standards, to whatever job performance you're doing. You're doing a good job, then you should be paid for that, and so on and so forth.
But, you know, and we'll get to a situation. I have a good friend that works in the private sector. He was 25 years with a vending machine company. They just came in one day and decided they didn't want him anymore. And he'd come to find out it was because they wanted to hire somebody they could pay less money.
Okay, is that a problem?
Well, I would think for him it would be.
Yes, it would be. But you know what? Yes, it's fair. They're the employer.
Oh, okay.
You have this thing in your head where nobody should ever lose their job. If you want that type of company where you will never fire anybody, then go out and start a company, Dave.
Well, I understand that. I mean, I just...
No, it's not. You start heading down the road of communism and socialism, which we certainly know the connection between unions around the world, workers unite, and all of that garbage with communism. That's the path you head to, where you start saying an employer can't fire somebody. The truth is, if the friend you have was invaluable, then they wouldn't have fired him. First of all, I don't even know if that's true, what you're saying. Make yourself invaluable, and you will be invaluable. Have you seen what's going on in Wisconsin? Oh, no. Wisconsin's going through the same thing right now because they have a multi-billion-dollar budget deficit, and the governor is trying to end collective bargaining, the same thing, because these pensions are unsustainable. Teachers took the day off. They called in sick. The ones that have tenure that can't be fired all called in sick. The school had to be closed down. They encouraged students to go and protest on their behalf, all because they are not getting their way. Really? Are you doing what's good for the kids by calling in sick? Here's a clip of the kids, by the way.
East High School.
Madison East?
Yep.
No class today?
No, there is no class.
Your teachers know you guys are here and they're cool with it?
That's cool? Our teachers brought us here today.
For what? What are you guys protesting? Are you testifying? Or?
You know, I don't really know. I guess we're protesting today.
We're trying to stop whatever this dude is doing.
We're trying to stop whatever this dude is doing, meaning the governor. They don't even know. They're just following blindly behind their teachers who have obviously brainwashed them about this stuff. It's Doc Thompson, 700 W. Bulldog joins me at 10:30 about the possibility of jury tampering. Then today at 4:10 with Sloaney and Tracy, you might pull a groin muscle. Wait till you meet Sloaney and Tracy's new personal trainer. You might pull a groin muscle. So could we see in Columbus over the next couple of weeks what's been happening in Wisconsin? This is a theme going all around the world right now. They try to come in line with what we pay people in the public sector. Could we see that? You basically have a bunch of teachers that call off because they know they can't be fired because of tenure. The kids are not in school. Then they encourage, at least in some cases, the kids to go and protest, and the kids really don't understand. They think they're going to lose their school or a couple of teachers they like. So they go out there. Half of them didn't even know why they were protesting. They didn't even know they were protesting. They're just encouraged to go down there, turn out in numbers to try to make the governor look bad. Then you have one of the activists, a guy named Robert Craig. He's the director of Citizens Action Wisconsin, doing the interview rounds. This was an interview he did on Fox News.
With no public input. And I think it's a great example to the kids that teachers and other public employees are standing up for their fundamental human rights. This is something that could have been done over a longer period of time where there could be real discussion. And you also need to understand that the collective bargaining laws in Wisconsin were created in the first place to create labor stability so that you didn't have any kind of public service disruptions. And so this is a cost of Scott Walker's...
Okay. Wait a minute. He's saying, first of all, he goes on in this interview and defends the teachers walking out, defending it. Again, blindly defending it. But then says the reason the unions are needed, the reason collective bargaining is needed, the reason it was set up in Wisconsin was to, quote, to, quote, create labor stability so you didn't have any kind of public service disruption. Isn't that a public service disruption that he's defending? Seriously? Dennis sent me an email, doc at 700WLW.com, basically saying that I'm not being balanced. Why would I balance the truth with lies, the truth with half-truths, or your agenda? Why would I try to balance those things? Still, nobody can answer that one question. How is collective bargaining by public employees good for the public? Still, no credible answer has been given. Very few have even tried. Jeff in Dayton, you're on 700 WLW.
I will tell you exactly, Doc, how collective bargaining is good
Please
for
do.
the public. I was a deputy sheriff for 30 years. I'm retired now. But I worked before there was collective bargaining. Before there was collective bargaining, during the blizzard of 78, I worked 42 hours straight, and I got absolutely zero overtime for that. The sheriff used to tell us... Wait a minute.
Hang on a second. Let's take these one at a time. So you worked 40 hours straight, which is a long time, and that was an emergency situation. I'm sure you're not complaining that you had to work, right?
Proud to do it.
Okay, proud to do it. Good.
But I should have been compensated for it.
You should have been compensated for it. How is that good for the public?
Well,
if with the collective bargaining.
I'll tell you. Then during the county fair used to be that our sheriff would schedule us for 8 hours overtime after we had worked our regular shift, and we didn't get paid for that because he said that was just our public civic duty.
Okay.
Now I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
By having collective bargaining, by having public employees, and I can't really speak to the teachers. I can speak to law enforcement, police, and fire. By having that in place, we have some protection. We have so that if a new sheriff comes in, for example, he can't fire everybody who's on the department because we're not covered by civil service. So he can't fire everybody who's on the department and bring in his own people. It's good for the public because you get what you pay for, Doc.
It's good for the public. Why?
Because you get what you pay for.
You
and
get.
If you start.
So wait a minute.
Go ahead.
So were you a good cop?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you stayed even without collective bargaining for a while, right?
I did, because I was too young to know. Well, I didn't have any choice. It's not like
that still doesn't.
It's not like if I don't like it,
Jeff. That still doesn't. That still doesn't make sense.
That I can go over and go to Department B.
I'll give you.
They don't have.
So, are you saying that all of the volunteer firefighters in the state or in America are not good at their jobs?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Well, you get what you pay for. We're not paying them at all. They're volunteers.
Well, you get what you pay for because those people already have jobs.
No.
They're
volunteer
firefighters.
Hang on a second. They're volunteering their time. They're not getting paid.
Right,
so are we getting nothing out of them then? They're nothing.
I'm not saying that.
No, you said we get what we pay for, and that is a fallacy.
Let me finish, Doc.
Absolutely. We're having a conversation. Go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to have a conversation. If you have a person who's going out doing firefighting, police work, whatever, as a living, he's not doing it as an aside or as a hobby or however, and he's trying to take care of his family and the old cliche, put food on the table and all of that. You can't. I don't think that it's fair for the public to expect us or them. I'm not part of it anymore. I don't think that it's fair for the public to expect professional police and firefighters to take just whatever the city is willing to give.
Why not? Well, wait a minute, Jeff.
Go ahead.
You can go to the next city and go there if they're paying more.
You can't.
Why can't you?
Do you know how hard it is to get a police and fire job?
Do you know how hard it is to get a radio talk job? People move all the time. Do you know how hard it is to get a job anywhere, Jeff?
I don't think. I think that you're missing the point here.
No, Jeff, you're missing the point. Here it is. You are creating this fallacy. You're trying to perpetuate it that we wouldn't get good cops and firefighters and teachers without collective bargaining. I have never said without collective bargaining you should make half. I've said you should make what you're worth. And if you're a good cop, hold on.
Exactly what would happen.
No. If you are a good cop or a good firefighter or a good teacher with the free market, you would be paid well. And a neighboring community would say, you know what? We're not getting the best people in here. We're going to need to go ahead and put some more money out there.
You're living in a fantasy world, my friend.
No, I'm not. You know how I know
works.
that's not fantasy, Jeff? Because that's how the rest of the world works. You're in this little union bubble where it doesn't happen that way. You're propping up bad police officers, bad firefighters, and bad teachers in those scenarios.
That is a minuscule part of it, Doc.
But you're admitting it's there. Are there bad cops, firefighters, and teachers that are kept on the job?
Absolutely. But
how are they kept on the job? Because of the union defending them?
Of them who are
does the union defend them?
Absolutely.
And why do they defend them?
Because that's part of their job.
No, it's not. It's part of their job to allow these public safety workers and teachers to stay on the job even though they're in that dangerous of a situation? That's the job of the union? Then you've just made my point. Then the union is a horrific thing if it's their job to keep bad cops, firefighters.
You're one small point here, Doc.
No, that is a big point. If you're saying bad cops and firefighters,
but you're missing the whole picture.
No,
here.
I'm not. The private sector.
You have no idea what it's like to negotiate with a county commission or a city government who are hostile. And
they're hostile?
They are absolutely
okay.
hostile.
All right. Jeff, you are just absolutely blind, and you've made my point. By the way, when you said about not getting paid for working in the blizzard of 78, I believe people ought to get paid when they work. And that was wrong. You didn't get paid for that. Absolutely, you should get paid for that. But you also forgot one thing. We have laws against that. They cannot mandate that you work for free. Do you know the laws that have been changed in the last few years? You cannot work for free. They must pay you. We've taken care of that part of the argument that unions have. That wouldn't happen now. Was it wrong back then? Absolutely. Stock Thompson, 700 WLW. See, the thing is about this, everybody, even the union members, know the truth. I'm tired of debating things that these people know to be true in their hearts. They understand this. That's the reason they can't answer that simple question. They know in their hearts what the truth is. They understand that. But they can't admit it because of their personal agenda. What is so wrong with wanting people to negotiate on their own behalf and pay them well? What is wrong with that? They know the truth. What truth do you know? What do you know? What do you know to be true? I know that unions only care about unions. That's what I know. I know that illegal means illegal. These are just some of the things I know. I know we don't have undocumented immigrants in America. We have foreign invaders. What do you know? 513-749-7800, the big one, pound 700 on AT&T.